You just wrote a book, and it's called Rethinking AI.
Pretty cool. The book shares how artificial intelligence works without the use of heavy mathematics by using examples of things we use in our everyday lives. Holly Menino spoke with the book's author.
Joining me now is Grace Yordanov. She is a senior at Bellevue Digital Discovery in Bellevue, and she's recently wrote a book about AI. It's called Rethinking AI. Grace, thanks so much for joining me. Tell me, how did you get the idea to write a book like this?
I came up with the idea due to the release of ChatGPT earlier last year. The release of ChatGPT has led to a lot of fear amongst people who didn't know how AI works at any level, leading to them being unwilling to adopt AI and also leading to a lot of fear overall about it. And so I've written Rethinking AI to be able to teach non-technical people about how AI works without the use of heavy mathematics, using examples like systems that we use in our everyday lives to be able to explain how the most important AI algorithms work, including the AI algorithms that are present in systems that we interact with every day in software that we use, and also the AI algorithms that are behind ChatGPT and other generative AI models.
And Grace, how do you view AI changing industries, changing society?
AI has both positives and negative effects of doing this. Of course, the positives are that there will be less of a need for very tedious work to be done, like work that would not be very interesting for most people to do. And another positive also is that it will make even difficult work also much easier by simply being able to do most of the very difficult tasks in them, to be able to help people do the more interesting kind of work as part of these tasks, or the type of tasks that they would much rather prefer doing, and let the AI automate the work of the tasks that they prefer not to do. The negatives from this is that AI could automate entire industries due to its current extensive capabilities, especially now with the introduction of generative AI, which proves to be very, very effective in doing many advanced tasks such as image and video generation, and also writing with a very similar capability to how humans write.
Where did you get the information to put in your book?
I have done research on what are the industries that will have the biggest effect from AI, and I also have had myself to figure out how to write it in a way too that would be simple for non-technical people to understand, because even the way that AI is automating different industries or is doing certain tasks is now getting very powerful now with the introduction of very powerful AI models that is doing this in so many ways that I have simply decided to give an overview of how AI is doing it in several different spheres of our world, rather than talk about every single possible way that AI is automating different kinds of tasks.
What do you hope that people get out of your book?
I hope people learn that AI is something that is not to be feared, but something that is rather to be excited about, and that even though AI still does pose certain risks, that these risks can be handled effectively through methods such as teaching it carefully the data that it's supposed to know, specifically for completing certain kinds of tasks, and also supervising AI too, and being aware that its results may not always be perfectly accurate. I would also like to mention too that my book, Rethinking AI, is available on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles for purchase. And if you would like to learn more about the book, you could read the ebook sample on either of those sites. Rethinking AI is a book that could be read by people of all levels. Even technical people also can read it too if they simply either want to refresh about the theory of different AI models, or they simply want to learn more about the societal implications of AI.
All right. Grace, thank you so much. Again, Grace is the author of Rethinking AI.